Okay, so it is multiple author presentation because many partners are involved in this participatory breeding, organic participatory breeding approach. And we will present some results and principle of the NOVAFRUITS association, but also there is another collaboration with IPM Growers Association, GAWI. But for the moment, NOVAFRUITS name is Heritage and Shared Creation, a cross-border initiative for participatory selection of organic apple and pears. So the content of the lecture will be firstly to give some key elements which help to aggregate partners in a participatory approach, because as you know, breeding is a long-term participatory activity. So we need that the partners are really willing to work together on a long-term base. So we need some key elements that will help such aggregation. It's not a natural aggregation. Then we will give some key tools for developing good and fair relationships between the partners, and finally give some results, and there will be also some conclusions. So we started since many years to work together with our partner, our North French partner, Centre Régional de Ressources Génétiques from the Hauts de France. And thanks to Interreg project, Biodomestica, we developed a lot of collaboration, and we have found that there were synergies, complementarities, but we could also sharing it, ideas, material expertise. And therefore, it was a good base for developing further collaboration. We both, French and Belgian, share heritage and local cultivars, so they made the same activities as us, collecting material and developing also same protocols for evaluation of such cultivars. We developed also inside this Interreg project a common database for management of our genetic resources. So you see that there were many conversions between our two public institutes. Then also historically there were projects that were developed by Unité Éco-Développement of INRAE Avignon, and the name was Vergers Durable. It was we organized many meetings, and it was really a participative, not breeding but research for developing concept and new ideas for having or for developing more durable orchards. So there were experts, there were growers, there were advisors, there were university people. We developed a network also of innovative orchards. And if I remember well, one of the first meeting was organized at Vergers d'Aquitaine near Bordeaux. And one of the key elements that we discussed together was we need better adapted cultivars for organic farming system. And if you see on the picture, we see one of the co-author. You see also Enrique da Pena, who is also member of Inobreed. So, and we see also Enrique there, and Jean-Yves Filatre also there. So you see that those people were already connected in a network since quite many years, and it was also one of the prerequisites for developing such participatory breeding organization. Then, if I was thinking about how it started, really, the first idea that came in my head was friendship. Friendship between partners, long-term friendship is really the base for having a good spirit for developing such participatory breeding approach. Then for sure the partners will be together. Why? Because they will develop synergies. There are complementarities. We need some innovative fruit growers for starting as funder, but also dynamic and innovative advisors, fruit tree genetic resources managers, and innovative and dynamic scientists. So we need this innovative approach of these people with friendship and complementarities, and that is also one of the key elements for having the possibility to develop such initiative. I would say also, but it is a little bit more philosophic, to have serendipity. It is when everything, when the apple is ripe, we can pick it, and when is it ripe? It is dependent of many factors. But when it is ripe, then you can go and you can get some results. Then also, due to our partnerships between the two public institutes, we were also in the same line with the philosophy of long-term evaluation in non-sprayed conditions. We were also in line. We started both sites already with some breeding activities. There were also pre-breeding and first elite material were already available before we started the initiative of participatory approach. So when the growers were starting to work together, they had already something in their hand. We can already offer them something. Otherwise, it's not so easy to put growers together and say, yes, you will wait 15 years for the first results, and then you will get something in your orchards. So it was more crispy and crunchy for the growers to see that we had started already the work before the participatory approach, and then they could make profit a little bit of what was already available. And also we have to acknowledge such intake projects which was really a good push for developing collaboration between our institutes. So also in this intake project, we started already to organize two trial orchards, organic trial orchards with common controls, with common commercial cultivars. We put the both sides selection from Gembloux and from North France and so on. So we had already two trial orchards which were comparable, and from which we could also have more robust results, and also it was visited by the growers. So it was also something that was already present. In Gembloux, we started a little bit earlier, so we could also make advantage of our evaluation in our low input organic evaluation orchards. So we could also see that, for example, Ariane, which is a RVI6 gene resistant cultivar, the resistance was completely broken, but also D'Alembert and many such RVI6 so-called resistant cultivars were no more resistant. So we had already some data that we classified also the cultivars. So we could also make use of such data for the selection of genitals, not only like I presented yesterday with old cultivars, because quite in a later stage we started to cross new cultivars with old cultivars, not only crossing old together, but also taking advantage of the new bred cultivars that offered good traits for long keeping ability, or good productivity, or non-biennial habits, and so on and so on. And therefore, combining robustness of all cultivars and better agronomic traits from newer cultivars was, I think, a good idea for developing the process. So here, NOVAFRUITS was created at the end of the 2014 years with a group of exclusively organic producers, so that they are only accepting growers that are fully organic growers, so not partly organic and partly IPM. So in fact, the idea came in a cafe around a beer between René Stévenard, Jean-Yves Filat, and I, an evening, and we discussed about, yes, we need to do something together. We have everything in hands and so on. And such ideas are coming by such friendship and discussion, not as a functionary, but as friends that are together and that which are who are passionate by their work. So there were at the beginning 12 organic growers, 2 regional public institutes. The first problem, not the problem, but the first task was to make a definition of a geographical production area. And we defined at the moment that the right for the cultivars and also for the accepting growers inside the association was on the territory of North France, so Hauts-de-France, Normandy, it's a part of France, and Wallonia in Belgium, and then also that the exclusivity will be given to those growers for the released cultivars for 10 years. So we define a duration and a territory. Second step was to set up legal and administration framework, and such key elements are really important. I want to point out the importance of having developed such agreements. So we created the legal status of the association, the internal association rules and regulations. We developed partnership agreements between the 2 public institutes, CRA-G and CRA-W, G and W. We developed experimentation and cultivation contracts for those new cultivars between the association, the public institution, and the growers. And also, that was my part, to develop a contract of propagation agreement between the association, the growers, and nurserymen. And the nurserymen have no license of propagations. They are only producing fruits when we are asking them. There is an echo. No? Okay, good. I can continue. And we decided also that the variety are free for sale. So there is no organization. Everybody is free for developing their own market. Afterwards, we will see if something is organized, but for the moment, everything is really free. Then we had also some reflection strategy For the putative new bred cultivars release, as you know, in Europe, there is the plant breeders' right. We have to introduce a dossier to the OCVV CPVO. The duration is average 2 to 3 years. Prices are not so low. I don't remember today what are the prices, but for those who are interested, I can give you some prices. One of the one of the bottleneck is that when you are producing some trees that you have to send to Angers, we are sending our tree to Angers, material need to be virus-free. So that's a bottleneck because you have to test your material and you need to be sure that your material is virus-free. If not, that's a problem because it will reduce, it will elongate the time before you can release your cultivar. So one of the idea was, is it not clever to conserve the original seedling? So because you have your original seedling, then from this seedling you are doing, you take propagation material, you graft them, you make different trees, but at the end, your original tree is destroyed because you have already copies of it. But is it not an idea to conserve the original seedlings? That's an open question. Then we had also there are different strategies for releasing cultivars. The first one is the more normal, is an agreement between the breeder and the nurseryman, and you negotiate the license, the propagation license with the nurseryman, and the nurseryman have the freedom to develop the market, and you have a negotiation on the fee per tree that you will get with the nurseryman. But then the power is under the hands of the nurseryman, not under the hands of the growers. Another form of releasing cultivars is it seems many people say that it is the best way, forming club. But what is a club? A club is a cluster between nurseryman, marketer, breeder. And so the growers are outside. And there are also negotiation, but there are also financial returns for the partners on not only on the tree, but also on each kilo of fruits produced. So it's a total, but then the market is closed and the marketer decides everything. And the last one, the last participative approach that we developed, we are a public institute. We don't need to get incomes. So it's not, money is not our key element only for work, but not for benefits. So we have to look to alternative fair trade approaches, and also where the levels of decision are shared with the growers, and in our opinion, with local growers. And the nurserymen are only offering services and service provision, and then you need service provision agreement. So the license, we keep the license and of propagation, and the nurserymen have no freedom on those cultivars. So NOVAFRUITS, what is it? It is 31 growers, 2 regional public institutes, and a set of collaboration agreements. You see one of the first pictures that we had. You see that there were many. That was the first meeting. Many meetings, many sharing ideas and testing fruits, looking on the tree, and so on and so on. So it is really a hot relationship activity. So we are starting with pollinations, seedling nurseries, experiment orchards, but also testing with the growers. So you see here that the growers are invited to test the elite material. And their strengths in numbers. So because we are together, we are stronger. So the collaborative partnership is very useful. Sorry, it is a double. And here, if you can see, it is to let show how it is organized, what I already explained to you. You have the two institutes, you have the association, and it is a grower association. The grower association take the decision. The institutes are a member, but we have no vote rights. So it's only the growers that have the rights to vote and to take the decision. We can give information and so on, but we have no level of decision. So, and there are different agreement between the institutes, also with the nursery and with the growers. There are also agreement between the association and the different fruit growers, and this agreement between institute and the association. And there is collaborative agreement that the cultivars will be released on the territory, only on the territory, for 10 years, and there is freedom of trade. So that's a little bit all, everything is organized. We developed also the same principle with a Wallon association of grower, GAWI. GAWI has two branches. The one is for a low input IPM, and the another is for fully organic growers. But some of the growers in the Wallon region are partly organic. They keep their pear orchards are kept IPM, because the income is not too bad with IPM pears in Belgium, and the income with apple is less interesting. Therefore, some of them decided to go to the organic farming system for the apple production, but not for the pear. Therefore, they are not allowed to be member of NOVAFRUITS, but they are well allowed to be member of GAWI. And because we are Walloon, we have to work a little bit with everybody. That's an example of IPM production of one of our released cultivars. So what is breeding? Breeding new cultivars is, and if we want to be efficient in releasing better adapted cultivars for local organic fruit growing, it is a cross between old cultivars, even if a new can be a new cultivar is always old because the time is always running, but they are very old and they are less old. But you need always to start with something that is already existing, and then you need to develop what will be the future demand about fruits. So you need to have an objective and be prospective. One of the components of this dynamic definition of ideal type, for us, an important point is tree architecture. So you see that 4 different type of branches, and for us, this type C seems to be the one of the elements for reducing the biennial habit, so the alternation of yield from year to year. So we have the tendency to look and to make selection of process to get such type of tree architecture. So that's a little bit one element in the choice of cultivars. But also new diseases are present, and for example, we call it anthracnose, but it is Alcinoe piri. and we have seen already in our crosses that there are many seedlings that are quite heavily susceptible to such new diseases. Another important point is European canker. We are in a region where European canker is a problem, so we need to take into account tolerance or resistance to European canker, and it is not the case in many other countries. I know that European canker is more and more a problem everywhere, but we know cancer since many years as one of the biggest problems that we have in our growing systems. So also we can make profit of some evaluation of cultivars. Here it is a selection of cultivars for better adaptation to rosy apple aphids. And here it is an example of a type of process that we can do. So we can cross commercial cultivars, but with some level of polygenic resistance, cross with old cultivars with polygenic resistance, or we can cross such the same commercial cultivars, not the most susceptible. We are not using the most susceptible cultivars, the most commercial susceptible cultivars. You are looking for some compromise, then crossing them with VF and polygenic, so the both that has pre-breeding that we have already done, and if you see also we can cross polygenic or polygenic with VF polygenic. So there are many combinations that you can do. And as we discussed yesterday, we need to broaden our view and make different type of process, because we never know what will be the results. Here are some crosses with different type of quality that we test also. So we are taking crunchiness, juiciness, sugar, acidity, aroma, firmness, the percentage of fruit that are fallen at the harvest time. That's also something that the growers don't like. They like fruits that stay on the tree up to the picking time. If the risk is too high that 20–30% fall on the ground before picking, that's not good for them. So that's an example. Then another example was we got really what I can call really participative breeding once. We started from the beginning with a grower. We discussed together with different people, so advisor, growers, scientists, define which are the priority. And this Jean-Yves Filatre, who is one of the founders of NOVAFRUITS, wanted to work with a local cultivar. He's coming from Normandy, not far from Britain, small Britain, and he wanted to start with Renette d'Armorique. Renette d'Armorique is a famous old local small Britain cultivar, and we crossed in his place. So we went there with our pollen. We pollinated the trees there with Coccinelle. We'll see AG90 is a Coccinelle. Catarina was something that's for us was in the beginning a little bit interesting, but no more for the moment. We cross also with Gold Rush, but we never got anything good with Gold Rush. It's too highly susceptible to powdery mildew, so it was not a good cross, but we was younger and with less experience. And also Renette d'Armorique with a number, very robust number coming from CRA-W. So we made the crosses at his place. He sent us the seeds. We saw the seeds. We made the controlled inoculation with CAP. We classified the offsprings, and we return back the seedlings, and the idea was that he was continuing selecting on his farm, but finally he got no the time to do it, and the seedlings became a forest, and it was difficult to pick, and so on and so on. So I'm not sure that we will got anything from this experience, but at least we have done it, and we will see perhaps that something can come outside. But as you see, they Jean-Yves received the seedlings 12 years ago, and for the moment I've never heard anything from him about fruit quality or so on. So we will see. But it was an experience of where we started from the beginning, define what are the objectives, we did the cross, and the selecting process was really shared with the growers. Some elite selection that are in trial with grower at grower sites. So there are many more than that, and some of them have already been discarded. So it's a dynamic process. Each year we are offering new selecting numbers. We discuss, and then we decide, yes, this we will try. The first step is planting 50 trees, no more than 50 trees per place or less. And then the second step is more if there are more confidence in the quality and the future of the cultivar. So the first release cultivar was AG90. Coxibel, we gave the name Coxibel. It was a combination between RVI. Yes, I'm older than many of you, so I'm still using VF gene, but the new one say RVI6. So it's a cross between Rubinola and President van die Voet is an old Belgian cultivar. So it's a combination between polygenic quantitative resistance and monogenic resistance. Good size, average yield, but tendency to biennial yield. It was planted up to now perhaps 10 hectares or a little bit less, but they stopped. The growers already after 6-7 years stopped to grow this cultivar because the quality of the fruit is too variable. Even if when you test with the people, they like very much the aroma and so on, but the aroma is variable from year to year, from place to place, and also very specifically from low input, the quality is higher than with high input. So that was for us a good example that we did a good job. But for the farmer, it was not a good way for having a fruit from one year very nice and another year less nice, or from one place very good and another place less good. So therefore, it was also the biennial habit was redibitory. So this variety is no more planted, and even it is more and more top grafted with new other numbers. So that was the first, but that was not the best. Then the second one seems to have better future, but you never know. It is an old cultivar crossed also with Rubinola, so it's a polygenic resistance with also RVI6. The tree is easier to train. It is regular in yield. That's very important. It's very regular in quality. That's also very important. It keeps the fruit on the tree. And we started also to make some trial, also with Apfel Gold at the orchard of Inde Sattler and her man. We have shared this cultivar to see what happened in North Germany. And for the moment, all the responses that we got from all growers everywhere seems that it is positive. It's perhaps not extremely positive, but it is positive. They are happy, and it will have some future, I think. So that's the number of trees that have been planted or ordered up to now, but for the moment it is planted because it was a 2020 situation. So more or less 15,000 trees have been planted off the Ducasse, so this second released cultivar. So that's you see Coccybel, it is more or less 4,000 trees. So I say 10 hectares, but it is much less than 10 hectares. It is only 3 hectares. And for the gas, it is only not hundreds of hectares, but it is a beginning. So the cultivar was also proposed on the market last autumn, and we got good results. Sorry to go back to the same. Then my last few slides come back to the InnoBreed projects. You got an information and an introduction given by Khaled, but inside this project, we want to develop also a collaborative charter. That's a preliminary name, Organic Fruit Network, a European Robust Organic Fruit. So it is something that we want to develop, a charter for participatory organic breeding in Europe. So the aim of this charter, the name, we could change the name, we will see. This ideas started in a former project dealing with organic farming plants, not only fruits, but all plants. The name of this project was Live Seed. I think it was coordinated by FIBEL, not? Yes, it was coordinated by the FIBEL. So the aim of this charter is strengthening organic EU network among participatory breeders, researchers, and growers, sharing common objectives, protocols, bringing more cultivars to the EU growers. But we are also open to other forms of breeding and also other forms of growing fruits. The basic share principle is that we want to broaden the genetic base using more and more local cultivars, properly evaluated in non-sprayed orchards. So I think that you will remember my key message. And then also to develop participatory approaches and to actively involve the participation of a group of organic growers that will play an interactive role at one or other steps. So sometimes they will be not involved in the beginning, but here in our example of InnoFree, they have been involved in the latest stage of the process. And also developing common breeding goals, and but also having the pleasure, really the pleasure to work together. That's a key element of such charter for us, to have to share ideas, inspiration, but also exchange material, pre-breeding material in a confidence sphere. That is the idea behind the such charter. But also we started already in the InnoBreed to develop common crosses with common objectives. We will share some material between the partners. So it's a start. We are already starting by working, not only by discussing and with ID and with words, but with the hands. We want to start with hands, and then after we can discuss. But we discussed also before doing the work. But we need a good balance between the two. But also the idea is to offer to the consumers larger diversity of taste, of fruits and so on. But also we are developing a common network for testing such more robust cultivars and having new approaches. But also such approach for us is more for local bread cultivars for local markets. So, my conclusion, some get-home messages. So participative breeding offers large scope of expertise, complementarities, synergies. It gives response to some financial crisis for local growers. For me, one of the most important points is we give back the power to the growers. Growers are back the key corner of the fruit growing production. They have in active implication in decision and strategies, and they are back in a driving position. Participative breeding offers very rich human relationship between different partners from different horizons, from scientists to growers, small grower, big grower, everybody who have the willingness to work together with pleasure is welcome. But we need clear agreement. I think that's really one of the key message I want to share with you. Agreements are needed from the beginning, not when the problems are there. You need to be prospective and to define really clear agreement between all partners, and the networking need to be very transparent. Then, yes, for sure, such successful indirect use, because they are used as father or mother for a breeding program, is a clear demonstration of the usefulness of our genetic resources for the growers, for the consumers, for the decision makers. So it boosts, certainly, like I said yesterday, it boosts public awareness about the importance to conserve the diversity of cultivated plants. And such initiative is typically adapted to local, regional market and growers, but the principles can be anywhere transposed. So it means that what has been developed in one region can be shared with other region, and they can make advantage of the experience that have been developed in one group, and to avoid some mistake or problems. And that's also the philosophy behind developing such charter of common participatory organic breeding fruits. So that was my last slides, and I thank you again for your kind attention, and I'm fully open for any questions or remark or exchange of ideas.
Okay, hello everybody. My name is Niklas Oeser. I'm researcher and advisor for organic fruit growing in northern Germany, and for OON, which is an advisory and research service for organic fruit growers in northern Germany. And also I'm board member and private member of Apfelgut Breeding Association. And thanks, Marc, for this very detailed and very interesting introduction and view of NOVAFRUITS approach. I go along with a lot of the things you told and explained, and I think Inde will do as well. Inde Sattler is here as well today. She's my colleague and one of the founding members of Apfelgut. I will focus very shortly on a bit more on the on-farm breeding approaches we have, and where we do or what's the participatory approach means for us at Apfelgut. So very quickly, who's Apfelgut? What do we? How do we do the work with short spotlights on the crossing process and the breeding process itself, and then very quickly about some other stuff. So Apfelgut is a non-profit association for development and implementation of organic fruit breeding, and consists of right now around about 14 to 15 active members. Means the people who are carrying out the work on field and in meetings and such. So here on the right, you can see a photo of our General Assembly from the last year with one guest, which is Barbara. I forgot her surname right now, but she's from Saatgut e.V. And we are a very diverse group of people being active in Apfelgut. We're 9 farmers, 4 breeders, carrying out the breeding work in spring all over the country. We're 2 advisors, 1 pomologist, and right now 2 to 3 students, trainees. So there's always a little bit of difference in the time. And then we have supporting members or sponsors, like the passive members who are financing the part of the association. So how did it start? In 2009, there was the big discussion about cis genome editing techniques and so on, and there was the FÖCO, which is our German rooftop organization for organic fruit growing, doing the lobby work for Germany, and in that network, some growers, including Inde, came together and said, in terms of this genetic engineering thing, we have to take back the breeding for organic palm fruit varieties back to the farms, to involve more people and to get it back to the practical approaches. And so in 2009 there was founded a working group, which then started to implement to think about ideas, and this developed into a project named Apfelgut in 2011 under the roof of Saatgut Association, which is a very similar association to Apfelgut nowadays, existing longer but for arable crops. And then in 2004, Apfelgut developed to an own association. So much for the history. We are located all across Germany, as you can see on the right. We actually right now we have 11 breeding sites with 10 practical farms and 1 or 2 experimental farms, which are located here in Germany, northern Germany, where I work and live myself. And one big advantage of this approach is that we have several different climatic conditions all across the country to select our clones under different conditions. So in terms of soil, in terms of frost, in terms of weather in general. So that's one of the big advantages. And how do we work? When we start with the communication in our association, so these 14, 15 active members, we get together very regularly, at least once per month. And nowadays we do it with virtual meetings like here with Zoom or other solutions to discuss the ongoing activities, what's coming next, breeding, crossings, and so on. Then we have 2 physical meetings per year where we get together somewhere in different locations. So we circulate that also throughout the different sites. And then we have, of course, some external events like fairs and so on to give information to outside, but also to come together for the respective arrangements. For the practical work, as I said before, we have right now 2 to 3 flying breeders, we call them. So our bees, let's say, who carry out the crossings in the spring on all the different sites. We don't do crossings on every site every year, but I come to that in a bit. Sorry, I caught a flu, so my voice breaks. I'm sorry. So yeah, what fields of work does we have? There are two big parts. The one part is the practical on-farm breeding, so the important, the interesting stuff, let's say, with everything that's related to that. So the crossing, the selection on every kind of pests and diseases and so on, fruit qualities. That's on the one side, but on the other side, we also have the political and public relations, of course, in terms of genetic engineering and so on. So doing the important lobby work there. And of course, the networking with all the different associations within Germany, but also, as we can see here in InnoBreed, across Europe. So I want to give more detail on the really practical breeding approach. When we talk about the crossings, how do we do this practical work on farm? So our group comes together normally around February in the year to commonly plan on the combinations we want to cross during the year or during the spring. And we do that on eye level. So we discuss together with all the experiences we similarly have, every one of us has, what kind of combinations would be interesting for our goals, for our approach. And our general approach is very similar to what Marc said before. We normally try to combine old varieties with new or well-adapted varieties on the market to broaden the genetic diversity in the apples, but also to get the modern traits that consumers and fruit growers, of course, want to have from the apples. So every one of us discusses with everyone what's interesting, and so that would look like this. So we do a list of combinations we think of, and then we have to see where we get the pollen and stuff. So the material for the crossings. That's from March, and every year, March to April. Gathering the pollen and either from the freezer, so the pollen we use in the crossings is either from the years before, or we collect it fresh in the field. Or sometimes we also have collaborations with other breeders, so we get material from them. In April, usually the crossings start from south to north. So if we look on our breeding sites, we start in Baden-Württemberg because it's the warmest place, and they're much earlier than the northern sites. And then our breeders, move through the country over the few weeks. This year was very, very early. I think a lot of you experienced that as well. So right now we are like 12 days earlier than last year. So that's the process. And during this time, we sent the pollen we collected to, or we circulated to the different breeding sites by post, by post. To have it in time there when the breeder arrives, and it's a bit challenging sometimes because of the very narrow time periods we have there, and so that's kind of a challenge each year, but so far we do well. And to have some photos, how do we do it? Classical breeding with as you can see in the left here, we collect the pollen by collecting flowers in the balloon stadium, dry them, and then we just rip them off, do them in a glass, and use the pollen that's on the glass when we shake it. So it's very easy and fastly done. So far, we use also this sacks on the branches where we do the crossings. Yeah, and then we guide the the fruits during the year and harvest the seeds in the autumn. And that means overall, in usual, we have around about up to 2,000 seeds per year, which we sow. The sowing is done in Hollingstedt, so that's the most northern part here, where Indesattler is located, and has the biggest breeding site of Apfelgut. And then we have the first selection stage for 3 years, means we plant the young seedlings after the frost period directly in the field, and then we selected for 3 years on all kind of fungal diseases. So right from the beginning on farm, under the climatic real conditions we have in the different farms. After this 3 years, they get in the second selection stage with more space, and there they get selected for 5 to 8 years until they grow fruits or until they get selected negatively. And then we have the whole part of fruit selection and so on. And the positive selections we get out of this second stage, they get grafted in a partner nursery, which is located in the south middle of Germany, Baumschule Maug or Nursery Maug. And then they get grafted on practical rootstocks like M9 or M25 and get spread to the different sites who say we want to test this variety. Overall, in general, we are one step behind NOVAFRUIT. So NOVAFRUIT exists for longer, and so we don't have too much material in the third selection stage or in higher stages of testing, because we are only there since 2011, let's say. Yeah, and then the varieties get tested in different locations, like at Esterburg Fruit Growing Center, where I work in my main job, or at CRA-W Bavendorf, at Lake Constance, or LVWO in Middle Germany. Greetings to Christian. I saw you're here as well today. And yes. So state of the art, just to give a short overview where we are now, we have around about 11,000 seedlings in the first selection stage, 1,700 seedlings in the second selection stage, and 3 varieties are already in variety testing, means they're planted in somewhat higher number already on different sites. And we have one variety which is registered as an amateur variety, means there's everyone can buy it and grow it. It's the variety Vanya. I can show a pic later, and one pear and one other apple variety is also a little bit wider in the process. Yeah, so very, very brief overview. And what else, when you come back to the participatory approach, do we do? We have several common tastings with different groups of, for example, with food retailers every autumn, with a big food retailer in northern Germany, but also with technicians from, for example, the different research stations, also with fruit growers and with consumers on different events. So to really get a lot of feedback from different interest groups, stakeholder groups, which we can then implement in our thoughts and in our working process, considering the next combinations and so on, to get feedback on how do the different stakeholders see our different material. Sometimes we do field days with practitioners. We do joint projects like InnoBreed, like one new project just started, Bioresi Obst, with different there's a university and so on, and so collaboration is very important, and everything as far as possible on eye level. So that's just a very quick overview on Apfelgut, less detailed than Marc with NOVAFRUITS, but I think there's a lot of things that go along with each other. And just to give two very short photos of materials, so that's Vanya. It's a crossing from Goldpalmene with some father we don't really know. It's from Hollingstedt, and you can see it's a yellow variety with a slight orange side, and it's russeting pretty heavily, or pretty much. So that's just for private or for direct selling and so on. And then we have Vega, which now got first good results of storage trials at Esterburg Fruit Growing Center. Also for direct selling, very, very good taste, susceptible to scab, little susceptible to scab, little susceptible to cancer so far. So have two examples. Okay, that's it. If there are questions, feel free to ask. Otherwise, I would give the floor back. Thank you.